Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Hong Kong ESports Winter Challenge. My name is Benjamin Breakbotny.
And I am Sam Pillay, here with my new caster. Originally you were a StarCraft caster, right?
Yeah, more or less, but I'm also looking to diversify right now as, of course, you know, this is basically the most popular esports title across all of Asia, that is to say League of Legends, and I myself am actually a Silver 5 ranked player, but of course, you know,
yeah,
try to take what I have to say with a grain of salt. I'm not that amazing analyst that Monte Cristo is. Let me go ahead and give you guys a Chinese introduction, since I do know there's a lot of viewers from Hong Kong and Taiwan. 大家好，我是双语言外籍职业电竞主播炳哥，我是你们最喜欢的来自美国的播报员，对吧？ Alright, so let's get back to that.
Good.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, my university major was Chinese. I couldn't help but show off a little bit.
Yeah, you got that way. Like, that was really, really good, actually. Like, there's no way I could ever be able to speak that amount of Chinese, unfortunately for you guys. But anyway, let's move on to our pick and ban phase. We have our first game is HKESports versus EXP Gaming. We actually have one of the members from EXP Gaming in the studio today. Yeah, all the other players are in Taiwan along with HKESports. They're a Taiwanese-based team, surprisingly. Like, it goes against the name a little bit there.
But I mean, it's brand named. It's like, okay, HKESports, it's a company name, and it's slapped onto the player tags. So it makes sense in my eyes. Thus far, checking out the bans, we got Javan,
Zareth, and Renekton banned down for EXP, and on HKESports they banned down Lissandra, Thresh, and Morgana. So, like, those are pretty solid bans, I like to say. Like, Lissandra is a very strong champion right now. They're trying to, like, ban out the champions that they're worried about during the mid-game, as the mid-game is, like, generally dragon focused now with the new dragon changes. So, like, banning out those champions means that team fighting will be a lot more easier to focus certain comps around.
And on top of that, right now we can see that Best Riven Kid is going to try and lock in the Janna support for his teammates.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, that would probably be the bottom ranked player, excuse me, the final pick on the team, since his name in Chinese translates to give the support a little bit of help, basically.
Yeah. Well, Janna is a very good pick as well. Like, she is the best disengaging support player, like, support pick right now.
Also, I mean, not to forget rather, that she's got the slow, she's got the knock up, she's also got the heal, as well as, of course, I guess you could call it the disengage, or even in some regards it could be an initiate.
Well,
quite
it's
situational.
It's a very hard initiate to pull off. What you have to do is you have to flash behind someone to use the ultimate, so you've wasted your flash doing so. And as a support, engaging isn't the best thing you can do, as, like, that kind of means you've wasted all of your skills, like, engaging the fight as a squishy champion, when you should be using those skills to help heal for your AD carry. But either way, Janna is, like, the best pick to start off pick and ban phase, as, like, it's just a general all-around good pick, and it works with any team comp. New on HKESports, who got Corki and Azir locked in, so very strong early game champions. They dish out a crap ton of damage, I have to say.
That is right, and I mean, Azir himself, he can add to just, I guess you could say, a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? He brings something new to team fights. If a team is behind in some regards, of course, he can just throw up his turret and, well, in place of a turret that's been destroyed, a friendly turret, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's correct. So he does add a lot to the table. Like, as a new champion, he's very, very, I can't really think of how to say this, but either way, like, he does bring a lot to the table. And during the mid-game, his ultimate is ridiculous in terms of, like, getting people away from the Dragon Pit, and then they'll get, like, some champions with AoE ultimates, like a Rumble, to go with it, and they can force people into the area where they want to put down the Rumble ult, so he's really good at setting up combinations.
Right, and I mean, just altering geography is a very useful skill to have in any case.
Not many champions do it in League of Legends as well, so it's very valuable.
Anivia is the only other one that comes to mind. There is, of course, Trundle, who does it as well. It also adds a slow.
Yeah, although Trundle, he's not really that favored right now due to his, like, he's a dueling champion, and dueling isn't really something that's popular in the current, like, preseason. It's mostly teamfight orientated.
Right, and of course we see the Pantheon and the Zedlock, of course. I'm trying to figure out this guy's name, how to say it in English. It says, the phone needs a little bit more electricity, I believe, if I'm looking at that correctly.
Yeah, that's the characters for phone. I recognize that one.
Alright, and I'm trying to figure out how to read Zed's name there, but I believe it says, let's just call him Ku Dao, because like that's how it reads in my mind. I'm not sure if that's the exact character that I read correctly, but if we just call him Ku Dao, it would be great. We can call the Pantheon guy there Phone.
All right, so we got Phone and Ku Dao. Great.
Right.
That's
of course.
Pretty useful for me, actually.
Yeah.
What about the support player? What can I call him?
Support player right now, at the bottom, we could just call him Support because he has those two characters in his name.
All right, that's cool.
And I imagine he'll be taking Janna. It's going to be a little bit difficult to actually memorize these names, but right now we got double BB going in with Ezreal, and we're going to have to wait and see how things get swapped out. I like this choice because he's got a lot of utility, escape, as well as potentially a chase down, and if I'm not sure how he performs in lane versus Corki 1v1, but of course when you're talking about bot lane, you're always talking about a 2v2. Assuming everyone's in the game.
Yeah, I'd say that bot lanes are quite even in the sense they both have very supporting supports and not really engaging support. So like you have Nami with the heal, and you have Janna with the shield.
The tidal wave?
The tidal wave is really slow though. There's no way that's going to hit anything without some initial CC going down. So like what they're going to try and play around is the Pantheon ultimate into the bottom lane. That's when the fights are going to start happening. As I said earlier, Nami ultimate, the tidal wave is so easy to dodge. It's like slower than a turtle.
But I think that's why they got Azir.
Yes.
Stacked ultis.
That is true.
Alright, so of course Gnar is going to be in the fight as well. Looks like Stanley's going to be taking it, of course, a very strong top laner, and we are going to have about a 3-minute delay before we get started on the next game. That would actually be this would actually be a very good moment to go ahead and thank our sponsors, Asus, AS Rock, D-Racer.
Thank you as well.
Yeah, all these other guys at the bottom of your screen, guys. Go out to Facebook and like them right now. It does them a whole lot of good, because without them, we don't have the funding for tournaments. Without the funding, we don't have this tournament. We don't have, you know, action-packed fights for games, and of course, fan-favorite teams out there on the market. I mean, Toys and Stanley, those guys are extremely marketable players. We see them at other tournaments, not just for League of Legends, but just making these cameo appearances at other tournaments as well.
That's true, that's true. I believe Toys was actually sent to Coach Fnatic last year at World, so these guys, they get around quite a lot. They're very big in the community. Anyway, let's take a quick look at the team compositions and what they're going to try and aim to do with this their team compositions. We see a very assassin-heavy team for EXP right now, so they're going to try and get a lot of kills during the early game and try and snowball their lead. However, for HKESports, what they've got is a more technical team. What they're going to try and do is they're going to get Dinter on the Nunu. Not really a champion he plays too much, so that's going to be interesting to see in its own right. But Nunu is great at zoning out junglers during the early parts of the game. So they're going to try and put some, like, they're not going to really successfully gank anyone with a Nunu, but they're going to put a lot of like pressure onto the lanes to scare away the jungle or like counter jungle a lot. So they're always going to know where Pantheon is until level 6. And their team composition as well with the teleport Gnar is going to really help them like secure the dragons, especially with Nunu's consume. It's a really fast dragon to do. So I think HKESports are going for a control composition here. Yeah. I
like that very much. I mean, like, it all stacks up. I mean, of course, as you said, Nunu doesn't add too much to that, but I mean, of course, we got the knockback from Gnar. We've got, of course, the altering geography power of Azir. And also, we've got the tidal wave and the bubble coming in from our Nami. Not to mention the heal. It's just nice to have in bot lane as a whole. Conversely, coming from what we have for KS, we've got, of course, well, we've got some knock-up, I guess you could say, to say the very least. Excuse me, from Team EXP. What on earth is wrong with me? I'm sorry. Jeez, the names are all out there in Chinese. They don't have their clan tags in their names, but you know.
Yeah, I have to say, like, my personal preference here is the team for HKESports. I feel like it's a much stronger team overall. EXP's team, it seems kind of like a solo queue pick team, like the way you want to try and win your lanes as soon as possible. Like, overall as a team, I don't see it working too well. They just want to try and burst down as quickly as they can during team fights and use the self-peel from Ezreal to just, like, do his own thing. Like, it's a very, like, fragmented team. And they don't really have a strong front line either. Like, Pantheon, you can build in tanky, but it doesn't really work out too well. Like, his kit doesn't really favor tankiness too much. Whereas HKESports, their team is, they have a lot they can do, like with the Azir pushing everyone into one location on top of the Gnar, and he can just knock them all into a wall to stun everyone at once. Like, it's definitely more team fight orientated, and that's what's winning games these days.
Alright, and the game is just about live.
Yeah, we're just into the loading screen right now. See what skins everyone's got. Some pretty cool ones here. Favorite being the Corki skin.
Right. Okay, so blue team side is of course going to be Team EXP. Give it up for those guys. I mean, they are the underdogs in this situation. Me and Sam were talking just before this game gets started, and essentially we came to the conclusion to see them just take one game off of HKESports would be a miracle. But I'm sure they all have girlfriends and they're rooting for them right now. I mean, honestly,
they'll win through the power of friendship. Let's give them that.
Okay. All right, and in the upper right, red side would be Hong Kong Esports. Of course, the All-Star champions, Toys, as well as Stanley are on that team. And right now, they're presently located in Taiwan. They just got done playing LMS yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't have a chance to catch the games, but that's because I was busy packing up to come here. All right, 3 a.m., waking up, getting on a plane. Just getting here an hour before we get started. Sure, why not? Sounds legit. It's what I love, guys. It's why I'm here.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Full on esports all the time, every day. Anyways, look at the start here. It's a very standard start. We have HKESports guarding every point of the jungle. And EXP are currently looking for where Nunu is right now, I'm imagining, as he's quite a little annoying in the early parts of the game with his consume. Alright, and we see Pantheon starting red side, gonna take the golems for himself, I believe, instead of giving it to the bottom lane, as we've been seeing lately.
Now, I think it's also important to note what kind of upgrades the junglers are going to be going for, rather, for their machetes. Are we going to see Poacher? Are we going to see Ravager? Are we going to see, you know, what are the other two? I forget. Jeez.
Well, generally people are going to pick Chilling Smite for this team composition. The only person who won't pick that one is likely Nunu, considering he already has his permanent slow with his snowballs. But you might still build it anyway. Like, extra CC is invaluable in this game, so not many people will like to build the other smites. But I'm surprised to see that the junglers did not give the bottom laners any of the experience from the camps. But considering they're not a very aggressive bottom lane, I can see why they would do that.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, if they're able to keep the other guys under turret for a considerable amount of time, that is to say support as well as double BB there. If they're stuck under turret for a while, then they're going to be denied farm, and the game will just kind of naturally fall into the hands of Hong Kong Esports. They are, of course, the favorite team.
That is true, and saying that, HKESports does actually have the favorable pushing composition in the bot lane here with Corki.
Double BB has already taken a lot of poke.
Wow, yeah, that's kind of hard to pull off at level 1.
I mean, he hasn't popped the potion just yet, but I mean, if, you know, this kind of trend continues, he's going to be forced to eventually. Alright.
Yeah, what I like to see him do is just stay back, try and farm up with his Mystic Shot a little bit. Get some health back with his Doran's Blade. He should be fine for a little bit longer if he stays out of the range of Corki's Phosphorus Bomb. As they've nerfed it recently, it's actually really, really slow now, so you can dodge it quite easily. Anyway, we see Pantheon moving down to the bottom lane.
That's actually Phone right now. He's moving into a position to make the plays happen. Of course, support backing is backing him up as well. Zephyr goes down as well, but the knock-up misses. And, of course, going in with that slow, we do see our Nami getting away. Ole is still alive. Alright,
so that's a lot of summoners used, actually. Only Flash left on God JJ here.
Okay, well, already going back is Phone. He took a lot of punishment and didn't get a whole lot of reward for that.
Yeah, look at Nunu now.
Oh, the bubble! The magic bubble comes in, and he's forced to flash away from that. Okay, so a gank went from okay to really, really bad for EXP here. And Nunu's just waltzed into the Pantheon's jungle, Phone's jungle, just stole his blue buff and is just walking back into his own to get his raids. Something you don't really want to do against a Nunu is gank so early, as this is exactly what's going to happen to you. He's already behind in the way of farm, and of course we can just see Denter is getting further and further. The knock up, and first blood goes to Ole. Never recall there, guys. Take a lesson from that. Like, you want to go behind your tower, especially against someone with long range abilities as Nami. Right. Now, of course, support is here. You're going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of CS, but I mean, it's going to be very difficult to do as most supports aren't built to take CS, and that's top lane Janna.
Yeah, Janna's a really crap champion for CSing with, I have to say. Alright, so we see Dinter here coming up to Riven.
Oh, he's going to have to, I mean, the boomerang throws, we've got Stanley on top of it. I think if he's able to, I could see this going from, the situation, okay, this is just the moment that we've seen Dinter waiting for, and I don't think there's any escaping this for Riven, but as I say this, well, there it is. I mean, that's 300 gold in the pocket.
Yeah, that was a really a strange play, I have to say. Like, he actually pinged the assistance ward in the bush where Nunu was standing in, so he knew someone could be there, yet he engaged anyway. So that was very questionable.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a risk, but I mean, we can already see that Hong Kong esports getting a strong start. Of course, I wouldn't necessarily say a game-ending one. It is a fightable position, but with the composition that you mentioned that champion selecting could be just, how do I say, it's a game on a limited time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they wanted to get the early game advantage considering that all their lanes are based around snowballing, and Riven has Ignite over Teleport, so she really needed to win like an early engage like that. So they just put themselves really far behind at this point. I just really don't even understand why she fought that point, as well as Stanley had the minion advantage in the top lane too, so...
Riven Kid looks like he's going to try and get some vengeance, but of course Stanley with that...
Pantheon's here, but nothing he can do.
Yeah,
and Nar's a hard guy to catch with his hop.
He is. Try playing against him as Trinamir in top lane. Solo Q, he is the bane of my existence if it is Teemo or Singed.
Yeah, Nar is the new Teemo, that's for sure.
Well, steady farm, as you can see, we actually have Azir leading the farm, which is not something I would have expected, as he's, how do I say, he's one of the least played champions on my list, of course, and also one of the least observed that I've ever seen playing.
He's actually a really easy champion to farm with. Like, with his soldiers, they do a lot of damage, makes last hitting really easy, and they're always up as well.
Right, and Dinter is going to try and solo the dragon. It has, I think, in maybe some ways.
I don't think they even have any idea that this is happening. Like,
right, he can just consume through that, and I mean, this is going to be a free dragon to Hong Kong esports. That Smite, Green, getting closer and closer to it.
He has no idea still. He's still like, maybe he's there.
Yeah, the phone gets there.
We go.
Too late.
He still doesn't know that they've done it.
And
know what's been put down.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 7-minute, 20-second solo dragon, and now it looks like we're going to try and get some bot lane ganks coming in here, but of course the
again, not going to happen, yeah.
Phone again.
I mean, like, even ganking from that location is not a good idea against HKESports team. Like, GotJJ can just Valkyrie away, like, instantly, and Nami is very good at disengaging against the Pantheon.
On top of that, I mean, like, you just check out the vision in the jungle right now. It's virtually, I would say, close to impossible for Pantheon to get a gank at that location unless both bot laners are not even looking at their minimap.
Exactly. Like, HKESports has just got so much dominance at this point in the game. Like, wards everywhere. They've got 2 pink wards up as opposed to EXP having none at this point in the game. So they're just playing it very professionally. And this is where EXP are going to have issues, as they're not used to this.
Oh, Riven Kid gets picked off. Ooh, nice dodge there, but he did have to expend a flash to do that. That means he won't have it in the future.
Which means he's going to have even more trouble getting like some kills and some money for himself.
Right, he'll be stuck under top lane turret for a while.
Yeah, Riven's not a champion you want to play from behind as well. You really need gold on that champion to actually like succeed at all. See Ole roaming to the top lane. That's an interesting idea.
It is. I mean, he's doing something that I don't see all that often as a support, and he's actually playing it quite aggressively, and it looks like
he's actually winning this one.
Yeah, this gank gank attempt is actually working a lot against.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. And now look. Wow,
ouch.
that is an aggressive kill support. That's the first time I've ever seen that. And it's probably from the least expected support character out there. Do you think this is some kind of troll move?
I would say it's a troll move. I think this is just Ole's way of playing. Ole is the new support player for HKESports, for you guys who don't know this. He's actually the top ranked player in LAN server.
Man.
Oh
Here
no.
comes the ulti from our Dinter, and then Stanley's trying to get the finish off, but Best Riven Kid is now bouncing back, and he's gonna chase down Stanley or try to. I feel like this is an overcommitment.
Yeah, he's not gonna get anything from this.
Yeah,
he's gonna back away. But yeah, Ole is definitely known for his aggressive playstyle, but roaming to the top lane as a support is something you don't really see these days.
So now we've got support helping out Best Riven Kid, and for those of you who are watching, the reason why we are referring to Janna as support is because that's what, well, those are basically the only two, I wouldn't say legible characters in his name, but it's the best meaning that I can get out of it, because his full name says, give the support a little bit of help.
Seems like support needs to give the rest of his team a bit of help at this point.
Ole being really annoying there. I mean, like, it may not seem like a big deal, but at this level of play, not going back in time to buy when you want to buy is it works against you. I mean, you're stuck out of lane just that little bit long.
And when you're already behind as well, it's just so frustrating to have to deal with that.
On top of that, it could actually be giving the player himself a real headache.
So we see Dinter just taking Phone's red buff there, pushing him even further and further behind. Like, they have wards all over in the bottom side of the jungle right now, so it's gonna be hard for EXP to find like a way to even come back into the game at this point. They're just getting further and further behind.
I know, and they're gonna have to capitalize on something that the Hong Kong esports boys don't do all that often, and that is capitalizing on mistakes.
Yes.
Alright.
I mean, like, even if HKESports were to make a mistake at this point, they have enough safety nets down that, like, they're not even, sorry, EXP aren't even gonna be able to make something of it. Like, they're all high damage laners, and considering they're all behind at this point, like, they don't have the damage to actually kill anyone from HKESports at this point.
Checking the builds at this moment, it looks like indeed both sides have Chilling Smite available on their how do I say this, on the machetes upgrades, if you will. We've already got cloth armor coming out from our Azir. What do you think that could lead into?
It's likely just going to build straight up Zhonya's from that. It's a pretty good item on Azir, especially against the Zed, as it just completely cancels out his ultimate. So,
but if I'm not mistaken, our mid laner for Hong Kong esports doesn't even have boots yet, so maybe it could just be for armor. Or what's the word I'm looking for? Ninja Tabby, there we go.
No, I don't think he'll build that. Like, Azir doesn't really need boots, as he's quite a highly mobile champion. He can jump to his soldiers at any point. So building boots on him is probably not an ideal thing to do. So I'm pretty sure he's going to build that into Seeker's Arm Guard and then straight into Azanya's to cancel out the Zed ultimate, to make sure he's even safer against the enemy laner.
Hu Dao in mid lane is trying to do what he can, but I mean, he's stuck under turret. He's getting what CS he can, but I mean, at this point, all lanes are effectively speaking behind.
See the Pantheon ult coming down here.
Yeah, well, Hu Dao now hopping out of there using his shadow form, if you will. And now Dinter looks like he could be in a bit of trouble. That nice little Zephyr coming in from support.
Yeah, see, this is what I was saying. They just don't have the damage yet to actually kill anyone here. Like, the Zed ultimate did go down on Stanley, but it just couldn't do any damage to him. Like, Azir, all he has to do is jump out and hold him away.
Alright. Here we are, Best Riven Kid getting a little bit overzealous here. We got the tidal wave coming in, and of course Stanley picks up another kill.
Once again, Ole in the top lane being aggressive as hell. I like this style of play for coming in.
It seems like he's moving really, really quickly right now, so I'm trying to figure out just, yeah, he's got boost of mobility.
So he's definitely a roaming type of support, and he's doing really well for him actually. It's a huge difference from Awei's playstyle, the original support for HKESports. He was always with his laner, like he was a very safe support. He was always making sure that there was enough vision around the bottom lane. He didn't like to roam too much, so I think this is a good change for HKESports.
Yeah, and God JJ goes back. He's already got the Trinity Force, getting pink wards and of course a lot of potions. I like that move. I can't highlight enough how many times I've actually played an ADC in bot lane, and then I'm running out of mana just because I'm spamming my abilities. Ole is playing Safeguard there for Stanley in top lane.
Standing in a ward though, so they know where he is.
Yeah, so I mean, no plays are going to happen there, unfortunately. It feels like there's almost no hope at some points in this game for KS, our Diamond 5, if you will. That's their English name, as we were researching earlier, actually with the information provided. And the mid lane primary turret does fall. of course. RGR staying on top of everything. Best Driven Kid in a lot of trouble now. Like the boomerang throw came in, and now we've got Stanley on the chase, and he just can't get away.
Well, Ole in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, but it looks like the save from Stanley is able to keep him alive just a little bit longer.
Yeah, like EXP is just gonna really struggle finding any like holes in HKESports defense here. Like they can't even get close to Ole at this point. He wasted all of his abilities and just didn't have the damage to follow up on the kill.
Alright. Oh man, but in bot lane, we've got Phone coming in there. He does the hop, and it looks like it might just get KS the first kill of the game. The question is Dinter going to go down? He's trying his best to get away, but he's being chased down by Double Bib as well as an out of mana Janna that is by the name of Support. Like, for those of you who are tuning in, again, the reason why we call our Janna player Support is because that is, well, his long name. We've said it before, and basically it just means support in summary.
I see Toys soloing the enemy blue buff. Wow. This is how far EXP are behind right now. They don't even have access to their own jungle at this point. Wow, Best Riven Kid actually wasting his ultimate to try and steal that. That's not an ideal play at all.
But I mean, at least you keep the enemy team from trying to get a little bit stronger if it is successful. I mean, just he's there 1 second too late, and I'm sure he just felt that epic moment where he's just thinking to himself, no! You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, we all know what that's like. It's like when the last Oreo is taken out of the cookie jar. And that's the only Oreo that was in the cookie jar. It's double cream, I might add.
Alright, so we see Support trying to get something into mid lane here, but there's just no way. Like, HKESports have far too many wards down, and EXP have no way to get around this.
Yeah, I mean, a part of this just has to do with counter warding, and now if we just check out the gold lead, it's insane. I mean, we've got Stanley popping it at about 6K, and I mean, everyone else on, what's the word I'm looking for? On excuse me, XP.
EXP, yeah.
EXP. They're about 1,000 gold down each, except for of course Supports, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the Supports are even further behind.
Yeah. Of course, they're supposed to be, ideally speaking, they're not supposed to be farming.
I mean, Ole's got a lot of extra gold from his assists as he's been roaming around. He's even got 2 kills for himself, so he's almost carrying this game.
Yeah. I never thought that a support could carry, but now, I mean, Ole has definitely, he's changed that perception completely, and now
he's showing how the Koreans play this game.
They invented the meta just like they did for every other game out there.
Yeah, that's exactly how they do it.
Right. Okay.
Alright, so we see a siege coming down in mid lane here. I think HKESports are more than free to be able to do this without any worries. Like, they have a really good siege composition with Corky's missile barrage, and Azir's soldiers are really good at poking underneath the tower. I don't think EXP can even hold this, even with the Janna, but considering how far behind she is, like, her shield's not going to help the tower at all at this point.
I mean, like, with 2 dragons in the pocket of, with the second dragon you get pushing power, which actually does just a little bit more damage to turrets, correct?
Yeah, they changed that recently. It used to give bonus damage to minions and monsters, but they actually moved it with the 4th buff, so extra tower damage is the 2nd buff.
Alright, so that makes it even a little bit more critical, and I think that makes sense, because if the other team gets, yeah, well, hold that thought. I mean, Stanley, he's being chased down by Best Riven Kid, and I don't know if that's a good idea for Best Riven Kid to keep pursuing. At the same time, the rest of his team is following up. There is an amazing play happening, but Stanley's just too buffed.
Yeah, they just don't have the damage to do anything. This is the problem if you pick all, like, snowballing characters.
Coming in from Dinter, Best Riven Kid, I don't know. Oh my god, the tidal wave coming in from Ole, that, I think, kind of seals the deal in favor of Hong Kong Esports just a little bit. Dinter is now in hot pursuit. Behind that, the super... Sorry, hang on just a moment. I lost my train of thought. That was the missile barrage coming in from Corky, and it missed. Alright, so...
Thing is, it didn't even have to hit. That was such an easy cleanup for HKESports at this point. They wasted everything just to try and kill Stanley, who he has Sunfire Cape at this point. He's not an easy guy to take down, so they need to choose their targets a bit wiser. But at this point, there are no targets. HKESports just aren't letting up to them. Right.
I mean, there was that was basically 3 free kills for HKESports at this moment in the game. But I mean, not anything too terribly. What's the word? Well, I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been a pentakill, right?
Yeah.
And it's just the way this game is right now.
Yeah, even at that point, like, EXP are just so far behind right now. Like, I'm pretty sure this game is more than over at this point. HKESports is just gonna keep taking dragons, probably take Baron as it comes up in about 20 seconds, sorry. And then they'll just push to close.
At this moment in the game, it would be what, the third dragon that they're after?
Yeah, this is the third dragon that they're moving towards now.
With
Like,
this
if EXP try and contest this, it's over. Like, they have to leave this dragon and just wait for the lanes to push in and try and farm up as much as they can.
Alright, well, I mean, the plays are happening. I mean, the observer doesn't quite catch it at this moment, but now EXP is trying to contest it. It can be a little bit confusing which target you focus down in this situation. Do you go for the enemy champs, or do you go for the dragon? And right now, it seems like half and half coming from HKESports, which may work against him. Stanley just knocked up by his Zephyr, and the follow-up W onto him slows him. Oli is being targeted down just a little bit, and that was a nice dive-in coming from Foam, but it just didn't work out in the end. We've got Janna taken down in the background, that support. There was, of course, Oli falling in the background to Best Riven.
Onto Azir there.
But 3 for 1 is not an ideal exchange for EXP.
This is what I was saying. They just have to leave the dragon alone at this point. They're so far behind that they cannot force team fights like this.
Right, and at this moment, we see HKESports, they're so happy to just let off of the dragon and go for that bot tower just to push themselves out a little bit more, and it looks like now they will return to taking that dragon.
I mean, they can take the dragon within seconds. Like, they're so fed at this point. Like, the dragon is just not going to be a problem for them at all.
It's snowballing out of control very quickly, but I mean, let's stop and think about this. Hypothetically speaking, if we were to see both teams actually reach full builds, and that would be a big if, do you think we would actually see EXP come back and win? Would they have a viable shot? As you said, they've got a massive damage composition.
No, like, I don't think so. Even with full build, HKESports do have the superior team fighting composition, so like their whole team can just keep everyone off of God JJ, whilst and Toys as well, who are really, really high damage. And Stanley, like, he doesn't even need to build damage to do damage to like the enemy champions, considering they have Riven and Zed, who, if you build anything tanky on them, it's just a waste of money. So like, it's just not gonna work.
All right, well. Here we are. Another siege coming down mid lane, and for the time being, we are just we're working on trying to figure out like how does EXP come back from this. I mean, they haven't surrendered. They're not giving up. They know that as long as they're alive, they've got a chance in this game. But at the same time,
I don't think so at this point. Like, there are games you can come back from, but at this point, look, they had 2 kills to 14 kills. They're over, like, they're almost 20k behind at this point. Like,
I mean, 10,000 gold is typically threshold for surrender, but I mean, there's something that's telling them, let's keep going, let's keep it up, let's keep playing, right?
they're probably just stalling for the next game, like trying to think, oh, what could we possibly do for the next game? Like, trying to, like, maybe tire out HKESports. Like, I'm not really sure, but, like, generally we don't see teams surrendering no matter how far behind.
That's the thing, never give up. If you're not willing to at least learn from a game, yeah, there it is. But the tertiary turret just fell at mid lane, and with that, I think we're going to see the inhib go relatively uncontested, even with Best Riven Kid right behind it.
Yeah, there's just really nothing they can do in team fights at all. They don't have any damage, they don't have any front lines to soak up any damage, their engage is quite porous, they only have a Pantheon ult. But as soon as Pantheon uses his man drop to get into the fight, he's going to die instantaneously. So there's really nothing EXP can do with their team composition to even try and claw their way back into this game.
Right. I mean, this is just an unstoppable powerhouse coming from HKESports. And of course, we can see now the absolute zero coming in from our jungler, Dinter. And now the rest of the fight is just unfolding before our eyes. Best Riven Kid trying to dive in on that Frosty Nunu, and now we've got support being taken down in the background. Best Riven Kid trying to get out of there does, but I think this may just cost them both their top tower and their top inhib. But it looks like, I don't know, I think Best Riven Kid is trying to stall for time to give his teammates more time to spawn. In this situation, I think like if they can all 3 respawn, they might have a chance of taking down Dinter or Stanley. Or at least get 1 or 2 pickoffs, get a little bit more gold.
I mean, Ole is still up, so I don't think they'll even be able to get close at this point, as they've used, forgot Zed's name. How do I say Zed's name?
Zed's name, we're just going to call him Kudao. Because that's the last
So
two characters.
he's used his ultimate as well as the man drop, so there's no way they can even get to HKESports after using that. The previous team fight we just saw was like the best they can ever get out of a team fight at this point. They had to blow every single thing onto God JJ. They managed to take him out, but at that point, they've wasted everything. There's nothing they can follow up off that, and then they're just all sitting ducks at that point. And as we saw, they just dropped one by one and allowed HKESports to take the tower and leave.
Now, I do want to say, I feel like I have to ask you this question. Do you think they have a chance if they're able to get that Baron buff?
No, even with Baron buff, like, it's still just a little bit more ability power, a little bit more attack damage, but at this point they have Ole who would just keep them away from their target.
Best Riven kid caught out in top lane. He was backing, and we just happened to... Our observer didn't catch it. But he did, of course, catch the kill. But now, I mean, Phone, he's on low HP right now as well. I can't really tell why.
Yeah, I'm not sure why myself, actually.
He probably tried going into there to save, and it just didn't work out. Maybe he was caught on the tail end of that gank. But now we got the final turrets going down, the Nexus turrets, I might add.
Yeah, this is likely game at this point.
It is. I mean, the siege is happening there. We've got this, like, we've got the amazing coordination coming from HKESports at this stage in the game, and I feel like it's unstoppable now. They're even stuck going back to Fountain just to live and fight on for a few more moments. And I mean, at this stage, we can see that HKESports is basically full HP. They got dived down on God JJ one shot right now, one hit away from being taken out of this game. And now, that was a 2-for-0, if you will. We got the Nexus exposed, the turret.
They're just trying to get kills at this point. Got to improve their KDA before finally ending the game.
Fountain turret is basically the only thing keeping these guys alive.
And that's GG.
It is.
That was quite a stump there, I have to say.
So let me ask you this, Sam. Do you think this was, just a straight-up loss at the character select screen?
They could have won it. They really needed to focus on getting the early kills on, on Kudao and Best Riven Kid. If they don't have those kills within the first 5 minutes of the game, then it's just going to go further and further downhill for EXP, and there's no way they can get them, come back from that.
Well, this looks a lot better than, how do I say this? The scoreboard right now for EXP, it looks a lot better than Silver Q, if you will. Silver Solo Q. Oh, man.
This is actually quite reminiscent of a Silver Solo Q game.
No, I can't. No, Silver Solo Q is 12 kills. 12 deaths, excuse me.
Well, we do have a 805 toys there. I'd say that's pretty insane.
Right. Well, I mean, at this stage, we can already see who the big damage dealers are in this game. I mean, Azir did a lot throughout this game. Absolutely amazing. Total of 20,000. And is this in PvP fights?
This would be mostly in fights, yeah. Azir, he just has a lot of sustained damage, and if they have no way to get out of that or no front line to deal with that, then he's just gonna freely keep hitting you and hitting you. And unfortunately, EXP's team was just not based around getting out of Azir's fights. They had a comp where they were the ones that needed to engage, but as soon as they engaged, they were just in range of everything from HKESports and died instantaneously. All
right. Well, I think that is just about going to wrap this game up. Now, since we did see that that EXP Gaming just lost, what advantages do they have going into the next game?
Well, what they need to learn from that game is how to play the champion